Hi, Mr. G-Man.
So, Corporal Shepard, we meet at last. Please don't think that I've been avoiding you. A great many matters require my attention in these troubled times. I do hope you understand. And now I require a further indulgence on your part. I cannot close my report until every loose end has been tied up. The biggest embarrassment has been Black Mesa facility, but I think that's finally taken care of itself. Quite so. But there is still the lingering matter of witnesses. I admit I have a fascination with those who adapt and survive against all odds. They rather remind me of myself. If for no other reason, I have argued to preserve you for a time. While I believe a civil servant like yourself understands the importance of discretion, my employers are not quite so trusting, and rather than continually subject you to the irresistible human temptation of telling all, we have decided to convey you somewhere you can do no possible harm, and where no harm can come to you. I'm sure you can imagine there are worse alternatives.
I guess. Okay. So I guess the G-Man has other plans for Shepard too. You know, just like Gordon. Alright, everyone, I am back. So, since this chapter is pretty short, I'm gonna give a little bit more and a in-depth review. Not like an extreme in-depth review, just a little bit more in-depth. I do want to talk a little bit more than I did in the normal campaign. So now in opposing force, this expansion, it was alright. It's more or less the same, but it does add in some new stuff. New weapons, new enemies. And I will talk about those shortly. But let's begin with the story. Now, for me, the story, your mission, it feels like you're missionless, if that makes any sense. And I think that was the point. I think that was the purpose of this campaign, because at the very beginning of the campaign, you were heading to your LZ, your location, but you have no idea where you and your squad mates are heading to. You're pretty much going to blind because you didn't receive your orders. So, and you get attacked, and you have to fight your way through Black Mesa, and you didn't exactly receive your orders. And I think your orders were to take care of the scientists and everyone who was involved with the Black Mesa incident. But since we got attacked, and we didn't got our orders, so we were just kind of going in blind. And I think that was the purpose of this campaign, going into this blind, going in without really much of a mission. But for me, it just feels like, you're missionless. You're just going in blind. You're just trying to survive. So yeah. And for me, that's kind of not really all that exciting. Just going through Black Mesa without really much of a mission. So yeah. Now, your squad mates, the medic and the engineers and the occasional soldiers, they could be, handy. There are times where you do need them to progress the story. But there are some, the majority of those parts where you need the medic or the engineer are kind of optional. Particularly the engineers, they're mostly there to open up doors. And I think there's only like maybe 2 or 3 instances where you need the engineer to open up a door to get to the to progress the story. And of course the medic, very helpful. They can heal you. I'm pretty sure they could give you an infinite amount of medicine or healing juice or something. So yeah. And of course there are times where I do accidentally kill my men. One time, I think it was in chapter 11. Yeah, I think it was in chapter 11. where one of my guys was like in the shadow, and I thought he was one of the Black Ops guys, but no, he was just in a shadow. The reason why he looked like he was all black because he was in a shadow, and that's why I accidentally killed him because he looked at black, not to sound racist, but obviously the Black Ops suit. And and of course, the other time with the Gargantua, I did accidentally kill one of my guys, and the other guy did shot me back. So it's kind of like those instances in Halo where if you kill your Marines, they can shoot you back. So and of course, the G-Man, once again, he's mysterious, and once again, he requires some assistance from the people in Black Mesa. First he recruited Gordon main game, and now he has plans for Shepard. And I'm pretty sure the G-Man used the bomb that I deactivated to destroy Black Mesa. So But that's pretty much all I want to say about the story. You're pretty much going into this missionless. Again, I'm pretty sure the Half-Life series has a deep story, but the games don't exactly convey a deep story. It's kind of bare bones in my opinion. Okay, so now let's go over the weapons. Now there are a few new weapons, and there are some replacements to previous weapons. Now the pipe wrench, it's pretty much the replacement of the crowbar, but this time, it's got a light attack and a heavy attack. But I kind of rarely use it, mostly because I feel like I kind of prefer the combat knife that you get, little after you get the wrench. Like the knife, to me, I kind of use the knife a little bit more because, it has a much faster swing. And I think I may have seen myself using a knife more than I did with the wrench. Now, the Desert Eagle, your main pistol, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the replacement of the revolver. And I've used the Desert Eagle a lot. They do give me enough ammo to work with. Now, the 9mm pistol, the Beretta or the Glock, depending on which texture pack you go with. But the main pistol, I only use it like maybe 3 or 4 times. Now obviously I'm not keeping track of how many kills I got per weapon. Maybe I'll do that when I do Blue Shift next. But there are certain weapons I use more than others, and the pistol is one of those weapons where I rarely use it. Again, the M16 assault rifle is back, or the MP5, again, depending on what texture, the HD texture pack you have. Use the assault rifle here and there, and same with the shotgun. I do, occasionally use it. The rocket launcher, obviously you're not supposed to use it a whole lot. You're supposed to use it sparingly, particularly against bigger enemies and choppers. And now the Assault LMG, I feel like you probably should have. I probably should have used the Assault LMG a little bit more, but I kind of just kept it in reserve. I kind of used it sparingly. Now this is the Displacer Cannon, or the BFG as I like to call it. Again, I use it sparingly. I usually use it against the big guys. And of course, the Displacer Cannon does have its secondary mode where you get teleported to Zen. I rarely use the secondary to teleport to Zen, mostly because I don't really have much of a reason to go into Zen. In Zen there are some supplies you can get, but the game, like the main game, Black Mesa, like the normal areas that you usually go through normally, they usually give you enough supplies. Now, the sniper rifle, it's pretty much the replacement of the crossbow, but I rarely use the sniper rifle. I use it occasionally, but now the sniper rifle is obviously a lot better than the crossbow because the sniper rifle is actually hit scan instead of projectile. But to be honest, I think I probably used the crossbow more in the main game than I did the sniper rifle in this game, which is kind of weird. Again, certain weapons I rarely use because I feel more comfortable with certain other weapons. Now the barnacle, again, you can use it to eat your enemies, but I usually use a barnacle to grapple to one spot to another, and especially to grab spores on the walls, and of course some other alien weapons you get. The shock roach, it's very similar to the hornet gun. how it regenerates its ammo, but it doesn't have a secondary. I mean, it would have been nice if the shock roach had a secondary, maybe like a lightning grenade or a powerful lightning bolt that drains all its battery or something. I don't know. But the shock roach, it's useful. It's got its uses, and I think I probably used it a lot more, probably because I abused the whole recharge thing. And yeah, now the spore launcher, pretty good weapon. The spore launcher is definitely a cute little guy. Feeding him those green spores and just launching those spores at the enemies. And yeah, and of course you do have your handheld items. Like the grenades, the laser trip mine, the satchel charges, and the snarks. Again, I kind of rarely use those. I mean, I've only used like the trip mine sparingly and at certain scenarios. And the snarks, I probably only use the snarks on like 2 enemies. And yeah, I mean, again, the snarks, to me, they don't work. They don't work in my favor because, well, they don't attack the enemies. They usually go after me, and it's really annoying. So yeah, when I do eventually do Blue Shift and maybe Decay and maybe Black Mesa, the remake, the fan-make remake, I'm probably not going to use the snarks ever again because I just never really find the snarks to be all that useful. And yeah, that's pretty much all the weapons I have on my list. Again, there are some weapon and ammo balancing issues. In my opinion, there are some balancing issues, like certain weapons I kind of use more than others. Like, I wish this game had a little bit more balancing, but again, this is an old ass game, so I'll cut it some slack. And yeah, now let's move on to the enemies with, first off, the human enemies, which are the Black Ops guys. And again, honestly, I'm not a big fan of fighting human enemies, whether it be military or Black Ops, because yeah, they just kind of wreck my shit. I mean, I think opposing force with the Black Ops guys, they were probably a little bit more annoying, most because I played this game on normal, when like in normal Half-Life I play on easy, but on opposing force I played it on medium. So that's probably why I found the Black Ops very annoying, because, well, they do a lot of damage, because, well, I'm playing this on a much higher difficulty, not exactly the hardest difficulty, but definitely higher than what I originally did. And yeah, so you have the soldiers and the assassins. Again, they're annoying, and I don't want to fight them ever again. But I'm probably going to have to fight them again in Blue Shift, Decay, and Black Mesa. Yeah. And again, the Zen enemies, they do return. But as the game progresses, later on in chapters, you don't see a whole lot of Zen enemies. You mostly see the new enemies, the Race X enemies. The Shock Trooper, kind of tanking than he should be, and he does have the Shock Roach, which can't attack you because you already have a Shock Roach. The pit drones, the little guys, again, I think they're cannibals, but I never find myself actually witnessing, one of the drones eating, another drone. Mostly because I kind of like killed them off quickly, or, I'm engaging in combat with them. And yeah. And now the pit worm, it's kind of similar to the tentacles in Blast Pit in the main game, where you have to flip a few switches and press a few buttons to activate something to actually get rid of the monster. In the main game, it was rockets, and in Opposing Force, it was drowning the giant worm in green goo. And yeah. And the Vortigores, the big guys that shoot purple energy balls at you, yeah, they're also pretty tanky, but when I do like when I did encounter the baby Vortigore, I'm gonna say Vortigon, but it's Vortigore. But when I encountered the baby Vortigores, they were pretty cute. They didn't exactly do much, but yeah. And of course, the final boss, the Gene Worm, yeah, he was a little annoying, but I kind of had to learn how he works. I gotta avoid his toxic spit that do a hell of a lot of damage. On the laser turrets, and then fire on his portal harp thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I mean, I'm assuming it's hard, but it looks like a portal to me that does spew out shock troopers. And yeah, I guess that's all I really gotta say about Opposing Force. Definitely a nice expansion. may have been a little bit annoying than the main game, but that's mostly because I was playing this on normal instead of easy. And yeah, again, I had fun. Again, I have its issues with it, but again, I don't regret playing this game. And yeah, well, everyone, thank you for watching my playthrough of Half-Life Opposing Force. So yeah, next I will be doing Blue Ship. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Well, everyone, this was me, Mediocre Racer 72, on the Mediocre channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.